Welcome to San Diego Market Movers. I'm your host, Valley, and I'm here with Bryan Devore. Welcome.
Thanks for having me again.
Okay, so NAR settlement. We all know that this affects the commission for buyers agents. If you're a listing agent. Primarily, you have quite a bit of listings. How are you advising sellers what they should do or what they should expect now with this new settlement at play?
Yeah, so the first thing I ask sellers when I meet with them now is, tell me what you know about how things have been and what they might already know about the settlement agreement. Because some actually know a lot, which is great, and then I'm just sort of adding some icing on the cake.
Okay.
Other times they say they have no clue, and so we start from the beginning.
Okay.
And historically, the way it worked was you have a signed listing agreement, and the seller would agree to pay X amount of dollars for commission, of which the listing agent could pay the buyer's agent with some of that. Mm-hmm. What's changing with the settlement now is the agreement between the seller and their agent only spells out the amount of compensation that the listing agent or listing broker is going to get. Nothing to do with the buyer's agent. That cannot be in writing in any way, shape, or form in that agreement.
Okay.
So it's all negotiable between the seller and their agent. There's also a little bit of opportunity if the buyer makes an offer that is not represented by an agent. There's perhaps additional compensation there. Okay. But the seller now is not obligated to pay. They weren't actually obligated before, but in their minds, they're not obligated now to pay compensation for a buyer's agent.
Okay.
Well, the questions I get from sellers isn't, why would I want to then pay if I don't have to? It really becomes a marketing tool at that point. If there are 5 properties that a buyer wants to go look at, and my client's is one of them, and there's 4 others, and they're all offering to help pay the compensation for the buyer's agent, and my client's not, their property may not get shown.
Right.
So we want to be sure we cast the largest net possible. So it may be advantageous for the seller to help the buyer pay that compensation to their agent.
And it may not get shown just not because of the compensation and the agents being greedy. It's more of like, can the buyer even afford to pay their agent and
Correct.
Their down payment?
Absolutely.
It doesn't always fall back on the agent. It can fall back on the affordability for the buyer.
100%, because now the buyer has to have a signed agreement with their agent committing them to pay compensation. Look, a buyer's agent's not going to work for free, and the agreement would be with their buyer to pay that compensation, but if the buyer can't pay it, they're relying on the seller to do that. And it's all negotiable. What I tell my clients, my sellers, is the bottom line is the bottom line. You know, what's the most important thing is how much you're going to net. And if you're going to net what you want, and we can work it out so that everyone's compensated fairly, that's fantastic. The other thing is we can't have any compensation information in the multiple listing service now. So I expect to get a lot of phone calls from agents asking if the seller is open to paying some of the compensation.
And they can ask that?
They can ask that.
Okay.
Can't put it in writing in the multiple listing service. It can be in other places, but we'll probably get phone calls and text messages. Is your seller willing to pay compensation, concessions, etc.? In which case we just have those conversations.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, it opens up the door to more conversations. I think clarity.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think the more conversations we can have with our fellow agents, with our clients, it just opens the possibilities for things to go the right way.
I love it. All right. Well, you heard it. He knows this stuff. So if you are looking to buy or sell, please reach out to Bryan. He has the experience that you need. All right. Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks, guys.